We're really excited to, be going through a healthy Ramadan with you and sharing tips. Our goal is to go live almost every single day this Ramadan and give you actionable tips on how to integrate healthy eating and exercise into your Ramadan and focus on health beyond just a superficial means. Really dig deep and figure out how Ramadan and health can go hand in hand, inshallah. So, my name is Amanah Khan, founder of Amanah Fitness, and my husband Zohair is here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ramadan Mubarak to all. I'm really excited to start this off.
Inshallah. We have 5 ways on how you can really make focusing on health and fitness more than just superficial. How you can integrate aspects of worship when you're thinking about your health and fitness so you can obviously get the most out of this blessed month, inshallah.
Ramadan is a month of transformation, change. It's the month that the Quran was sent down. It's a month of the Quran itself, and the book itself is meant for individual change for the better. And we're trying to transform our souls, and we're trying to transform everything about us to become better people and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the essence of what Ramadan's all about. And so all the practices in Ramadan should be viewed within this lens of the idea of becoming more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So jumping into point number 1, which is reflecting on the prophetic Sunnah of health and actually having a focus on reviving this Sunnah in Ramadan. So we've kind of gone through and compiled some really beautiful hadith on this topic, on the Prophet ﷺ's emphasis on health, and I think it's a great time in Ramadan to reflect on these hadith and think about that. We want to revive this really attitude towards health in our own lives this Ramadan.
Exactly, because a lot of people have been asking us questions, especially when we released the ebook on how to have the healthiest Ramadan ever. Why are you caring about health in Ramadan?
Yes.
Why are you focusing on this? You're missing the whole point of Ramadan. It's about fasting, and it's about praying, and it's about worship. Take all this health stuff out of it. But as I mentioned earlier, worship in Islam, ibadah, is as broad as life itself. It's a way of life of connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and making yourself more beloved to Allah and transforming yourself in all aspects and dimensions of your life to make it the most beloved to Allah. Socially, the most beloved to Allah. Intellectually, the most beloved to Allah. Spiritually, of course, the most beloved to Allah. Morally, the most beloved to Allah. And physically, the most beloved to Allah. Does it make any sense if you say all those things most beloved to Allah? Physically, who cares about physical? It's about everything together. And these hadith are there to show you that actually it's not something we're just coming up with and making some superficial connection. Islam does place importance on physical health. So
as we're going through, reflect on these and reflect on, what does it mean to embody these hadith in your life? So the first one we wanted to share with you is the Prophet ﷺ said, "Verily your body has a right over you." I think this is something just people gloss over really easily, just like your family has a right over you, just like many other aspects in your life, you have rights and responsibilities. Your body is one of those. Yeah. And so naturally you have to ask yourself, okay, if my body has a right over me, what are the responsibilities that I have towards my body? Exactly. So that's something you have to keep in mind, that this body is a vessel that we're really given as a trust, as an Amanah, as a trust, that we have to take care of. Another one, the Prophet ﷺ said, 2 blessings are often overlooked by most of mankind: good health and free time.
Exactly. That's the important thing here to realize as we're going through these hadith is we want to have the proper intention for transforming our health and for becoming healthier. And that's the whole point here. So when we mention these hadith, think about it and make your intention and your motivation for health in line with these ahadith that, this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. This is a way to become more beloved to Allah. And Allah loves beauty, and Allah loves things that are striving for that excellence, right? And so that is a very strong manifestation of it. And so we'll go through the hadith.
So the Prophet ﷺ said, "No human ever filled a vessel worse than the stomach. It is enough for the son of Adam to eat some morsels to keep his back straight." Again, this is one, and we're starting to get into the hadith that really start to emphasize the importance of avoiding overeating. And so obviously we've been talking a lot about tips for healthy eating in Ramadan, and it's really important to put that into context, that this is such an important principle, and it's been emphasized so much in the hadith that we should avoid overeating, that overeating has negative consequences. And in this case, it's even saying that, this is the worst thing you can fill is your stomach. And so, that's it's something to keep in mind that yes, you're fasting all day, but when you approach that iftar, do you just completely fill up? Do you gobble up all your food? That's an attitude shift. And really, one thing that stands out to me is that when we go out through this hadith, you start to look at food as more of that sustenance and blessing, rather than something to just gobble up and fill yourself just because, you know, we love the taste of food.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to the previous hadith that we looked at, that, you know, two blessings are often overlooked. This is a blessing. This is, a form of sustenance. So then keeping that in mind, and then looking at this recommendation to avoid filling your stomach, that's something to keep in mind as a value this Ramadan.
So the Sahaba, Al-Harith ibn Qalada, said that which has killed mankind is the introduction of food on top of food before it has been digested. That's a very interesting note, actually, because people are learning about this as well in the medical field, that you can look at a large majority of illnesses that people are facing, especially chronic illnesses, has to do with two things: diet and physical activity. This is a statement from a Sahaba, but it speaks to that same reality, and it's something that's so important.
It speaks to that mindset that the companions had, in that, you know, overeating is something harmful.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something to be avoided. So we went through some of these hadith. Why is healthy eating so so encouraged and overeating discouraged in Islam? So we have these snippets that show that this was an attitude that, you know, overeating was discouraged.
Yeah.
So let's dig in a little bit deeper.
I think that the key to understanding this question is thinking about Ramadan. That's the key link, because what do we do in Ramadan? We don't eat.
Right.
So why is that so important? Why is what I put in my stomach connected to some worship to Allah?
Right.
Let's dive in.
Right. So this quote, I love this quote, because obviously everyone's really surprised to hear that. When most people, think about Imam Shafi or any imams or any scholars, you usually just think about fiqh or different rulings, or can I do this or can I do that? And then when you actually look and see that the scholars of Islam said statements about avoiding overeating, and actually went specifically deeper into why they avoided overeating, and then took it further to personally themselves making this a lifestyle. Like, you see very healthy practices in the lives of these scholars that we're going to quote.
And this is not selective, biased attention, or we're just putting up all small things, trying to put anything and connect them. You can see quite clearly here from the scholars' statements, these are very, very particular and significant areas in which they wanted people to focus on. So
this quote from Imam Shafi: "I have not filled myself in 16 years." So let's just pause there, and when was the last time all of us filled ourselves? Like last week, 2 days ago, this morning at Zohair, So, but Imam Shafi: "I have not filled myself in 16 years.
This is the key here, because that's the question: is why do we care about food? What does it have to do with anything? Removes clear understanding, intellect. Your intelligence is linked to your ability to control the food that you consume. Number 2, induces sleep and makes one's weak for worshiping Allah. Spirituality. Food and overconsumption of food actually lowers your spiritual energy. You can look at your spiritual energy as your taqwa, or this potential to do good and to interact, to engage in worship with Allah, right? It's that, and it takes a certain level of energy to do that. Just like it takes energy to go up and go out or whatnot. You need to have a certain physical energy. It takes certain spiritual energy to be able to engage in such a spiritually in such a spiritual activity. And so Imam Shafi is making a link here. Don't overconsume, don't eat too much, and if you eat too much, it will decrease your intellectual capability and it will decrease your spiritual energy. And that's why it's so important. So I get very frustrated when Muslims say, "Oh, who cares?" and make jokes about it, like, "Well, who cares?" When, first of all, the Prophet ﷺ was quite clear in that hadith that this is a statement from the Prophet ﷺ. And then beyond that as well, you look at the scholars and they understood the link. And it's just so sad that other Muslims,
the link that's been lost.
Yeah, and even a lot of da'iyas and things like that, they just some of them obviously they do recommend it, but a lot just kind of just see it as whatever, waste of time. Like, oh, this is something that's just a waste of time.
Or a small portion of health fanatics.
I was seeing, there was this one on Facebook. There was a public figure, very famous Muslim public figure, who was kind of mocking Muslims for eating healthy suhoor and eating iftar, and being very, very dismissive, like, "Oh, why are people caring so much about this and eating this and this is, oh, I just want my biryani," and stuff like that. And I said, as it just seems that it's so it's not compatible or consistent with actually the way that our tradition interacts with food. We have to have that level of responsibility, as you mentioned.
So clear that filling yourself makes one weak for worshiping Allah. That's so clear. You can't get a clearer link than that. So we're really trying to dig into going beyond the superficial. It's not just about I want to be fit and slim. Like, it's going deeper, that there are spiritual implications for the way that you treat your body. Going back to that first quotation, verily your body has a right over you. So Ibn Rajab, who is Ibn Rajab?
Ibn Rajab was a scholar of Islam. He was in the medieval period, 8th century Hijri, 795 after the Hijrah he passed away, and he wrote a commentary on the famous 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi. It's basically 40 hadith that are the essential hadith for every Muslim to know. So he actually added 8 hadith to this collection to basically 8 hadith that he felt were not in the original collection, that he felt was really important for Muslims to still get. And one of the hadith is actually the hadith of the eating just amount to keep your back straight, and not over 1/3 or whatnot. So that was one of the hadith. And in any case, so clearly he's someone that had a very had an understanding that health is a very important domain of a Muslim. And you can see the quote here.
So he said, spiritual benefits for eating in moderation include humbleness of heart, strength of understanding, curbing one's desires, and lessening of personal opinions and anger. Overeating induces the opposite of all of the above.
Very good. So here, let's unpack. So like I said, like humbleness of heart, moral qualities, strength of understanding, intellectual capability, curbing of desire, spiritual energy, lessening of personal opinions, ego and arrogance, anger itself, right?
Yeah. So these are all things that we're trying to conquer in Ramadan.
Exactly, and that's the whole point here, right? And it doesn't say it's in moderation. And the thing is that a lot of times people come to iftar, it's like, oh, I didn't eat the whole time, and so now I can just go crazy. But if you just eat so much at that time, then you're overeating. And all those things, those are the goals. Remember I talked about at the beginning, Ramadan is personal transformation. Yeah. Those are almost hitting all the aspects of transformation that you would want. So food and becoming healthy is not an end. It's a means to these qualities and characteristics. And in fact, it's a very great tool to be able to get this type of transformation. And people don't understand that, right? It's not a means or an end. And if you do see it as a means or an end, then that's a problem. Because then
well, now Ramadan's a perfect time to start to change that thinking.
And it's all about changing your character.
Obviously, everyone this Ramadan is trying to become more humble. Lessen your ego, improve your understanding of the deen, control your desires. These are all goals and objectives that we're aiming for this Ramadan. So why not accompany that?
And one of the means to that goal, as Ibn Rajab is saying here, is moderation in eating. It's just beautiful.
So the summary of this point was reflecting on the prophetic Sunnah of health, and then thinking about these scholarly explanations that overeating has negative connotations. It actually promotes un-Islamic characteristics like anger and ego, and then thinking about the fact
laziness.
that improving moderation in eating can help you on this Ramadan transformation that we all want. It's all linked. So that was point number 1 on the 5 ways that you can, inshallah, purify your intentions and have a really great spiritual focus while you are thinking about your health and fitness this Ramadan. So number 2 point on how we can really inculcate a spiritual desire to focus on health and fitness.
And this really links to the first point. The first point is the Sunnah is clearly focused on this idea of not overeating and being very careful about over-consuming and whatnot. And the second part now is, well, why is it so important? What is the link between, and this is a question for fasting too, why do we fast? Why is there some interest in what I'm putting into my mouth, and how does that help me in my journey towards Allah? The question and the key here, as is mentioned here, one of the keys, self-regulation is the English word, but the Arabic word is a word that everyone is familiar with, and that's sabr. That's building that willpower and that energy and that capacity to be able to perform optimally and to be able to engage in beneficial activities rather than just fulfilling our desires and moving away from things that we know are beneficial and moving away from our goals.
Yeah, and obviously, when it comes to Ramadan, obviously we hear over and over, this is a time to control your desires and, reconnect with your spirituality. And that definitely applies to food. And when we think that we're controlling our desires all day by not eating, it doesn't fit with the attitude of controlling your desires if you just run to iftar and start shoveling all those desired foods into your mouth. It really, starts with this mindset that I'm controlling my desires throughout the day by abstinence, and then I continue to control my desires, through in the night through qiyam and through prayers and through tarawih, and also at iftar itself, realizing that your body has a right over you, that there are certain foods that will allow you to really get the most out of those later times, and then also seeing that this is part of control. And the more that you can master control in your food, the more you can have control in other areas of your life. We did an entire discussion on this previously,
Yeah, you can
all
check it
about
out.
self-regulation. I think we talked for like 1 hour about self-regulation.
Sabr, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And how sabr is something that it transfers in many different areas.
Exactly.
Self-regulation, there's so much psychology research on this. So when you develop that self-regulation in when you're eating food, obviously in Ramadan, also what types of food you're eating, being able to exert moderation and being able to do portion control like we discuss in the ebook, and being able to portion out your plate and see that this is foods that are tempting. These are foods that I have a desire and inclination towards. How can I make sure that I'm having them in the right amounts? It all plays into this fact that that's the purpose of Ramadan. So keep that attitude when you're going to your meals. Keep that attitude with every single iftar and suhoor, inshallah. Obviously that has a big role on increasing your self-regulation, helping you get to the point of what Ramadan is all about. Ramadan is about really being able to control your desires. So we need to harness that, obviously, in our food as well.
What was the first commandment ever given to a human being?
Yeah.
It was regulation over their food consumption.
So
it's very interesting.
So we talked about how that, in Ramadan, it's a focus on self-regulation. So Al-Hasan al-Basri says,
just as the Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, was food, and it's your test until the day of judgment.
Right.
It used to be said, whoever takes control of his stomach gets control of all good deeds.
It's amazing.
And this is the point right here. You take control of your stomach, as you mentioned.
Get that self-regulation,
exactly.
the ability to control the desires of what goes into your mouth.
That's the point
One of the base desires for humans is eating. If you can harness that, not just during the day when you're not eating.
Exactly.
For many people, it's almost easier to not eat at all than to actually control. What am I going to eat now? How much am I going to eat? So if you can not only get the handle of not eating completely, but also getting that self-control to be eating the right foods, the right amounts, that allows you, inshallah, to take control of all good deeds. Have that ability to self-regulate, have that sabr and control in all areas of your life, inshallah. That's what we're trying to develop in Ramadan, and that definitely carries over to your health choices. All right, so number 3 way that you can have a spiritual focus when you're thinking about your health and fitness in Ramadan, inshallah, is to consider time spent on your health in Ramadan an investment in your worship.
Yeah.
Obviously,
as you said, a means to an end, not in and of itself. And when people think that, oh, why do you care about health? They're thinking about it as an end, and it's like, okay,
A lot of people say that, I can't believe people are talking about fitness in Ramadan.
Yeah.
This is a time to pray and worship. And of course that's true, but that's thinking that your body has nothing to do with your worship. It's untrue.
That's just ignorant. You think your body and the system, the vessel by which you're here, through which you worship Allah, has nothing to do at all, and that its health has nothing to do at all with your worship, then that's just nonsensical.
Your body is completely tied to your ability to worship. The stronger your body is, the more you fuel your body, the better you will be able, inshallah, to spend that time in worship. And it's just like anything else. You can invest in many different areas. So some people can work on their health for a superficial reason. Some people can have many different motivations. If you think of this as an investment in your worship, and you really are clear on that intention that when I am healthy and strong, I can stand longer for prayer. I can have an easier time during my fast without feeling sick and nauseous from not eating, so I can focus better, read Quran with more clarity. If you have that kind of mindset, then inshallah you'll be rewarded for focusing on your health in
Ramadan.
Ramadan.
Not just rewarded for that, but it takes you to what you wanted to get to at the end anyways. And you'll feel great. Everything just comes together.
And just on this point also, that so many people in Ramadan, they'll still spend time on many different things, checking emails, socializing, calling up people, and the fact is that your health should be at a higher priority. And
because the means, it's much higher. Okay, talking to people in email is not a very good means to getting to these spiritual goals you mentioned. For health, by the way, and making sure you're eating right for iftar and suhoor, and also even some moderate exercises and stuff like that while you're fasting that can help you with energy after iftar, because you're going to have to stand, and especially those who are doing Ramadan in the long summer days, then that's going to be difficult for tarawih later. So in terms of the means of which, that should be very good, because anything that will get you to be at that state where you're able to worship Allah better should be prioritized at a higher level. So you have to look at your hierarchy of priorities based on whether or not it's going to bring you your Ramadan goal of transformation, becoming more beloved to Allah.
And this obviously includes things as well, like after Tarawih, going home quickly so that you can go to sleep instead of, going and sitting at Tim Hortons and eating unhealthy food and just, kind of talking all night. Anyway, keeping that idea of priority. This is an investment. The more that you do in this area, inshallah, the more you will get out of Ramadan. All right, so that was point number 3. We got 2 more points on how to have a spiritual focus as you're working on your health. And point number 4 is a really practical tip. And this is, to have smart second track multitasking to squeeze extra benefit. Obviously, multitasking, there's so much research that shows that actually decreases the performance in both areas.
Yep.
But physical activity is one of those amazing areas where when things are very physical, you have an opportunity to plug in a second track option, such as listening to a lecture or doing dhikr or some type of mental work that obviously allows you to, even with the understanding that health and fitness is something, it's an investment in Ramadan in your worship capabilities. Let's even supercharge that. I know a lot of people are plugging in and tuning onto YouTube and listening to lectures, Islamic lectures in Ramadan. There's absolutely no reason why you can't be walking while listening to lectures. No matter what your fitness level is, you should be walking during those times.
If you're gonna listen to 20, and there's lots of beautiful things out there and stuff like that, nice series and stuff that many people have done, and if you can watch, for example, or listen to one of them for 20 minutes, sitting down,
your headphones,
just plug in, go for a walk outside,
put on your phone,
and then within that 20 minutes of walking, 20 minutes of walking
Amazing.
before iftar, every single day of Ramadan, you tell me.
Yeah, we talk about this in the guidebook. That is the ideal fat burning time. And this type of low intensity, steady state cardio, list cardio before iftar, that is the perfect time to burn fat. Get to your ideal body weight while you're tapping in and listening and learning about the deen through great lectures. I mean, this is very easy to do. We're not even getting to the point of exercise in Ramadan yet, but something simple like walking as you're listening to a lecture, you will feel so much better. One thing that I hear over and over is I feel sluggish in Ramadan, I have low energy. It's because we're sitting all day. It's because we're literally just sitting around and doing nothing
Think it's because
we're trying to conserve our energy.
People think it's because of the food. I'm not low energy because I'm not eating properly. Well, that's not the case at all.
I mean, friends would come up to me and say, I'm feeling so low energy. Is this because of the starvation effect? And it's just like, no, it's not. The research shows starvation does not kick in a 12 to 19 hour fast. You don't have to worry about that. If you want higher energy, get up and move. And especially if you go for a walk outside, summer months, many people are fasting in summer seasons. It's beautiful.
Breathe in the fresh air from the trees,
especially closer to iftar, you get the nice sunset. It's absolutely stunning. You'll feel connected to actually what you're listening to. You'll be able to reflect on the ayats and the signs around you.
You're doing evening adhkar before iftar. There's no reason why you can't take a walk and look at the ayat of Allah in the horizon and see actually the sunset and actually really engage. In fact, that will probably be a better engagement of that actual dhikr. And so it's just introducing a little bit of activity in there, and it does
whenever you can.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win situation.
So keep that in mind. I want you to think, whenever you're doing something that you're sitting, ask yourself, do I need to be sitting to complete this activity? Sitting is so dangerous. So much research is showing that, and the more that you can avoid that, the better, especially while fasting. If you're ever on your computer, think about, can I stand? If you're ever listening to a lecture, think about, can I stand? If you're talking on the phone with your mom, try and think, can I walk around while I'm talking to her? When you're listening to a lecture, when you're doing your dhikr, great opportunities to squeeze in extra benefit and get that exercise through just simple walking throughout the day. And finally, point number 5 on how to have a real spiritual focus when you're thinking about your health is obviously to make lots of dua for your health in this Ramadan. And just, as a personal experience, 6 years ago when I was losing weight, when I lost 50 pounds, this was something that it was directly in Ramadan. I was working on this. I was making so much dua, really focusing on this. And it just takes your focus on health and fitness to a whole different level because you're making dua, you're being sincere about this, you're asking Allah for help and success in this endeavor, and then you go and you put in the work, you do the exercise that's dialed in for Ramadan, and then you eat healthy, and you feel so connected to that activity because you're thinking, I'm making dua for this, and Allah's gonna put that success in my behaviors right now and allow me to see success here. And you feel, it's as if, for example, a mother who's been making dua for so long to be given a baby, and when she finally has that baby is like a sign of Allah's acceptance of her dua, right? The same thing can happen for you if you think about that in your health transformation like that. If you're making so much dua to Allah to, bless your health transformation, make it happen, help you reach your ideal weight, when you accomplish it and everything you do that's healthy, you will feel connected to it and you'll feel feel that this is Allah allowing me to do this. And that's how we take your focus on health and fitness in Ramadan, inshallah, to the next level. And obviously, for those of you who want to know the specifics, when to exercise, how to exercise, what types of exercise should I be doing, what types of food should I eat, do you have a meal plan? All of that is included in our Ramadan Reset Guidebook. So obviously the guidebook has your meal plan, it has your full recipes for literally every single day. You could follow that, and has really dialed in information on how you can truly make this Ramadan your healthiest Ramadan ever, inshallah. To get the guidebook, you can check it out at amanahfitness.com/Ramadan. You know, and we really worked hard on this guidebook to make it absolutely affordable for everyone. And in this guidebook, you know, you get your meal plan, you get your recipes, you get absolutely all of the tools you need. You also get a bonus workout in there. You get workout timers. There's so much in this book that would really help you, inshallah, get to that healthy Ramadan.
Information as well. I mean, we got professional dietitians.
Yes, we worked with the dietitian to create this, and this absolutely, alhamdulillah.
There's so many myths out there about Ramadan and health. There's so many myths about what you can eat and how much activity and this. And so this is very research-based, evidence-based to be able to present to you. We can meet those health goals as a means to changing ourselves, and that's what it's all about. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to undergo that positive transformation during this month, and bring us closer to Him, bring us closer to His book, Al-Quran, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone, and bless everyone at home who's listening to this and watching this, and we just are so happy and thrilled that you're here and we're able to go through this journey together.
Inshallah. And be sure to keep an eye on our Facebook page. We're going to be going live, inshallah, almost every single day in Ramadan with actionable tips. So we wanted to start it off right. We wanted to talk about a spiritual foundation, how to really have that spiritual focus. In the coming lives, we're going to get really practical, talk more about healthy habits, healthy suhoors, healthy iftars, mindset shifts, psychology tips, different types of fitness workouts that you can do in Ramadan. So all of that is coming. Keep an eye on our Facebook page, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't miss out. Grab the Ramadan Reset Guidebook for everything you need to know about healthy eating and exercise in Ramadan. The Ramadan Reset Guidebook was created by health and fitness professionals to give you all the tools you need for your healthiest Ramadan ever. From guidelines and a full 30-day meal plan optimized for your fasting state, as well as 90 dietitian recipes, along with fasting fitness schedules, and so much more. This guidebook is available now at amanahfitness.com/Ramadan.